She opens her mouth and a lie comes out.
The one thing, oh gosh, what's the one thing? I haven't really gotten into a book in a long time. I had to wear nude pantyhose all the time. I hadn't seen pantyhose since movies in the 80s. Graciously said, no, this is your baby and this is your brand. All I wanted to do was save up to buy a shirt that said BB.
Yes. The rosé sold out also in less than an hour.
44 minutes. Oh, really? That feels odd to me.
Can you actually get a drink in peace?
Yes.
Yeah.
We go out a lot.
My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
Oh, no.
The Duchess of Sussex recently sat down for what was intended to be her triumphant comeback interview with Bloomberg, showcasing her new lifestyle brand and Netflix empire. But Meghan had no idea she'd be spending her time ruthlessly eroding her own credibility with one inconsistency after another. Meghan sits there, imagining herself as an innocent California girl who was taken aback by simple professional clothing requirements. But here's the catch, and this is why you should stick around. We're going to show you how someone who spent 7 years on a high-end television drama somehow forgot that costume departments exist. It's so ridiculous that you'll laugh and cringe at the same time. Meghan delivered contradiction after contradiction with the confidence of someone who truly believed no one would notice. From declaring herself a vintage technology hermit while also running a digital empire, weaving tales of childhood poverty while casually mentioning designer shopping habits. These are not simple mistakes. These are fundamental paradoxes that reveal how someone creates different versions of their life story based on the narrative they're selling. We've studied every word of this train catastrophe, and what we find will make you wonder if anything Meghan says can be trusted. Let's jump right into what could be the most perplexing paradox of this entire calamity. And believe me, that's saying something. Meghan wants us to assume she's living in a historical time capsule, utterly insulated from the current digital world that everyone else is in.
You know, last week someone talked about ChatGPT, which of course everyone's talking about ChatGPT. I hadn't experienced it before. I'm a little bit vintage in many ways because I'm from a time capsule of handwritten notes and putting a stamp on a letter and mailing it. And
she's creating a romantic image of herself as someone who is so legitimately old-fashioned that she scarcely understands basic technology, as if she's some sort of adorable lady who writes letters with fountain pens. But wait, things get better. She reinforces her vintage identity by highlighting that she is not caught up in the day-to-day gadgets that other people utilize. She tries so hard to sound approachable and down-to-earth, as if she is above all of the modern conveniences that have corrupted the rest of us. It's almost adorable in its sheer ridiculousness.
Siri's not on my phone. I don't have location services. There are things like that. I'm not caught up in the day-to-day tech things that most people are.
This is where things go completely ludicrous. I mean, laugh out loud ludicrous. This is the same woman who recently started a direct-to-consumer lifestyle business based solely on digital marketing, social media engagement, sophisticated e-commerce platforms, and algorithmic optimization. You literally cannot run a modern business selling premium jam online and claim to be technologically impaired. The math does not simply fail to add up, it bursts into a million contradicting bits. You require sophisticated inventory management systems that can track stock levels in real time. You'll need customer relationship databases to segment buyers for focused marketing. You need digital payment processing solutions that can handle international transactions. You need social media marketing efforts that use hashtags, engagement data, and influencer partnerships. You require search engine optimization, email marketing automation, and ongoing online customer service management. Handwritten notes and stamps, no matter how vintage or real, do not lead to magical business success. Nonetheless, Meghan expects us to believe she is directing all of this digital complexity while remaining utterly isolated from the technology world. She is essentially claiming to drive a Ferrari while maintaining she does not know how to drive. The inconsistency becomes even more ludicrous when you consider that she nonchalantly admits to utilizing Instacart on a regular basis for food shopping. So she's comfortable enough with technology to navigate intricate meal delivery apps, manage payment systems, plan delivery schedules, and contact with customers through digital platforms. But she's somehow too antiquated for basic smartphone capabilities like Siri or location services. She's tech-savvy enough to get the most of her online grocery shopping experience, but she'd never heard of ChatGPT before this week. Then comes the knockout punch to her own credibility. She characterizes her triumphant comeback to Instagram this year as being very strategic about how she used the platform. She discusses being strategic and deliberate with her social media presence, playing and exploring in public, and using the platform to spread joy and have fun.
Coming back on Instagram was a really big decision, but also it's just been joyful. And And I'm really intentional in using it as a platform to share joy and to have fun.
This does not seem like someone who is afraid of or separated from technology. This seems like someone who knows exactly how to exploit digital platforms for optimum impact, has evaluated the strategic worth of social media presence, and is at ease negotiating the complexity of algorithmic engagement. You can't be truly intentional about platform utilization while still being technologically dumb. The whole hoax reaches a climax when she begins outlining her investing strategy and reveals her particular interests in finance, healthcare, and technology. So she invests in technology companies and evaluates tech startups, but she's allegedly too old-fashioned to grasp the technology herself. She supports innovative digital companies while admitting she does not even use basic smartphone functionalities that most teenagers learned a decade ago. She is making financial decisions regarding artificial intelligence businesses while claiming she has recently discovered ChatGPT. The cognitive dissonance is truly astounding, and the fact that she delivered these contradicting claims so confidently adds to the entertainment value.
You know, last week someone talked about ChatGPT, which of course everyone's talking about ChatGPT. I hadn't experienced it before. It's not something that is part of my day-to-day, but you have to imagine Siri's not on my phone. I don't have location services. I'm shocked.
Throughout the interview, she is desperately attempting to have it both ways in terms of privacy and public life. The mental acrobatics required to sustain this double standard are truly Olympic. She wants us to assume she is seeking privacy while living entirely openly. And she doesn't see how these two concepts are mutually exclusive in the most basic way. The setup for this paradox begins early on, when she discusses life and if they can grab a drink in peace. You'd expect someone who has been whining about media intrusion and a lack of privacy to discuss the difficulties of being public, right?
Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy.
They're putting themselves on the world stage using expensive PR while demanding privacy, while writing books. People who want privacy don't do that. You live your life quietly in privacy, so it's such hypocrisy.
Can you actually get a drink in peace?
Yes.
Yeah.
We go out a lot.
She makes it quite clear that they are not seeking to be incognito, that they are constantly out, and that they lead a totally typical public social life in their neighborhood. She paints an image of someone who is completely integrated into their local scene, at ease being seen and recognized, and actively engaged in social events with no apparent concern for privacy. Throughout the interview, she elaborates on this topic, portraying someone who not only goes out on occasion, but also has a full and active social calendar. She discusses regular girls' nights out with her friends, numerous romantic date nights with Harry because they are crucial to their relationship, and being visible, active members of both their Montecito community and the Santa Barbara area.
People are just really friendly.
Are there any tricks to being incognito?
No, we're not trying to be incognito.
Okay.
But I go out with my girlfriends for dinner and lunches, and obviously my husband and I have a lot of date nights because it's important. But yeah, we go out a lot in our community, in Montecito and in Santa Barbara.
When the interviewer asks what she would do if she had complete privacy for a month, her response indicates someone who is genuinely irritated by the limits of her public image and desperately misses fundamental everyday activities. Her quick response is that she would go grocery shopping every day, noting that she misses this routine pastime so much that she's been forced to rely on Instacart for many years. But wait a minute. Let us think about this logically. If she may enjoy alcoholic beverages with friends, romantic dinner dates with her spouse, and regular social activities in her town without feeling the need to conceal or be incognito, why is grocery shopping suddenly an unachievable dream that necessitates complete anonymity?
I would go grocery shopping every day. But I'm very much on Instacart.
This contradiction is especially revealing because grocery shopping isn't exactly a high-profile public activity that attracts paparazzi attention or sparks media frenzy. The inconsistency implies that either her statements about living openly and comfortably in public are greatly overstated, or that her complaints about missing typical activities are contrived just to garner sympathy and preserve her victim narrative. The logical gap is so clear that it practically insults the audience's intelligence. She's sitting in a high-profile interview with a big business journal, videotaped for content that will be released globally, and talking about her commercial undertakings and public initiatives. This is not someone who is truly seeking privacy or attempting to escape public attention. Now we need to talk about the most problematic allegations in this entire conversation. That's quite impressive given the competition. Meghan's company's success metrics are enormous, and the timeline she portrays is so compressed that it borders on pure fantasy. Either she's using the most dramatic exaggeration we've seen from a celebrity entrepreneur, or there are some pretty questionable methodologies being utilized to calculate these allegedly spectacular sales figures. Let's break down exactly what Meghan claims happened with her lifestyle brand, as her story defies basic business logic. She explains that when they started this year, they were discussing inventory in terms of a few thousand jars and lids. This signifies a very small boutique operation, which is perfectly appropriate for a fresh new lifestyle firm introducing its first product with no established client base or market presence. Then, she makes a claim that anyone familiar with retail will quickly recognize as false. She claims that her rose product sold out in exactly 44 minutes. Not roughly 45 minutes, not within an hour, but precisely 44 minutes.
The rosé sold out also in less than an hour.
44 minutes.
To put this into context, a relatively unknown lifestyle brand launching a seasonal product with a presumably limited marketing budget and no established distribution network managed to generate enough consumer demand to completely exhaust their inventory in less than an hour. That kind of sellout speed is usually reserved for highly anticipated product drops from established big brands with millions of loyal customers and massive marketing efforts behind them. But this is where the story goes from questionable to unbelievable. Meghan reports that for their second seasonal drop, they increased their inventory by tenfold, anticipating this large increase to endure for weeks based on typical retail estimates. Instead, she says that this 10 times larger inventory sold out in just a few hours. If they started with a few thousand units and then multiplied by 10, they'd be transporting tens of thousands of units each hour. For a luxury lifestyle product marketed at a premium, this represents millions of dollars in sales passing through their system in a single day. This would place as ever in the same category as viral consumer phenomena, such as limited edition shoe drops or concert ticket releases. But without the apparent cultural influence that usually comes with that level of exploding demand. But wait, it gets even more bizarre. Meghan then deals a devastating blow to credibility by alleging that conversations have evolved from discussing thousands of units to requiring buy orders for millions of units.
And suddenly the conversation goes from at the start of this year talking about a few thousand jars and lids to we need to do a purchase order of 1 million.
Successful consumer brands typically take years to make the scale jump from startup inventory levels to million-unit purchase orders. We're talking about the kind of scale that necessitates significant infrastructure investments, big marketing budgets, and extensive retail distribution networks. Nonetheless, Meghan describes this transformation as if it occurred naturally through word of mouth and social media buzz alone. The timetable and scale she describes would need, as always, processing more inventory and producing more sales than established lifestyle businesses that have been cultivating customer bases for decades. This would place her Little Jam company in the same class as giant consumer packaged products companies with national distribution partnerships and multi-million-dollar marketing budgets.
When you sell out that quickly, it's a double-edged sword because it's an incredible thing to happen for any small business and any startup.
Meghan's description of her relationship with Netflix offers another fascinating layer of contradictions, exposing how her business narratives shatter under inspection. She's urgently attempting to portray herself as an independent, strong businesswoman while remaining entirely reliant on Netflix's corporate infrastructure. Meghan initially presents Netflix as her collaborative business partner and key investor, as she always does, implying an equal partnership in which she retains creative control while Netflix offers financial backing and strategic help.
Creatively, they very graciously said, no, this is your baby and this is your brand. At the moment, no, Netflix is my partner and investor.
She highlights several times that Netflix kindly told her this is her baby and her brand, providing her final approval on all creative ideas and business directions. This portrays an empowered entrepreneur who uses Netflix's resources while keeping her independence and artistic vision. She wants us to believe that she is the one calling the shots, making strategic decisions, and directing the course of her economic empire, while Netflix only provides supporting infrastructure and finance. It sounds like the ideal match for someone who wants to keep their authenticity while having access to corporate resources. She begins to reveal that Netflix's involvement is through their existing consumer products division, and that their primary value comes from connecting her with suppliers and manufacturers with whom they are already familiar due to previous licensing deals and product partnerships. The contradiction is highlighted further when she discusses her funding and partnership decision-making process. She confesses that her original idea was to develop her own team and run things on her own terms, giving her more influence over the company's direction and potentially far more financial upside from any success. But then Netflix made what she calls a persuasive pitch, persuading her to collaborate with them rather than seek independent finance and development. The timing of this interview makes these contradictions even more damaging to her reputation. Just days after she made these confident claims about their fantastic collaboration, Netflix's backing, and her creative authority, prominent entertainment industry media reported that their agreement had been dramatically reworked and devalued. One of the most obvious conflicts in Meghan's entire public story is her childhood socioeconomic circumstances, which is especially illuminating given that these inconsistencies have persisted across several interviews and public appearances over the years. She is urgently trying to tell a relevant story of growing up with financial troubles and modest beginnings. The particular details she carelessly provides do not match up to the picture of economic hardship she is attempting to create for the audience. Meghan consistently describes herself as someone who grew up in a low-income household where her family had to clip coupons and look for bargains on sale racks just to get by.
But I grew up clipping coupons. I grew up looking for deals in the sale rack. Certainly as an auditioning actor, you are paycheck to paycheck, so you're very mindful about how you spend.
She emphasizes how hard her family worked for every dollar, claiming that this developed in her a strong appreciation for the value of money and hard labor. She discusses living money to paycheck as an auditioning actor in Los Angeles, implying that financial insecurity and economic concern have been recurring themes throughout her life experience. But then she starts dropping casual tidbits that absolutely contradict this meticulously crafted image of financial difficulties and working-class struggles. She explains how in high school, her primary financial objective was to save enough money from her after-school job to buy designer apparel, notably a BB shirt, and how having one with rhinestones would signify she'd truly made it in terms of adolescent social standing.
And all I wanted to do was save up to buy a shirt that said BB.
Having an after-school job at 13 indicates some level of financial necessity, which first corresponds with her poor family narrative and appears to corroborate her statements about learning the importance of hard work at a young age. But this is where the logic breaks down totally. BB was never a bargain brand, and rhinestone BB shirts were unquestionably luxury items for youngsters in the 1990s and early 2000s. We're talking about clothes that is more expensive than many folks' whole monthly wardrobe. Families who clip coupons and browse clearance racks out of necessity rather than choice would not have teens saving their discretionary cash from part-time jobs to buy expensive apparel. The contradiction becomes even clearer when you consider her educational background and the financial implications of her academic path. Meghan attended Northwestern University, which has traditionally been an expensive private college with tuition that is out of reach for most middle-class families, let alone those facing the financial restraints she describes. Even with financial aid, scholarships, or other support programs, attending Northwestern indicates access to significant family financial resources or educational possibilities that are often unavailable to students from really economically disadvantaged homes. The combination of pricey private university education and adolescent luxury apparel purchases portrays a picture of a pleasant middle or upper middle class childhood, as opposed to the financial difficulties she frequently highlights. This inconsistency is particularly noteworthy since it demonstrates Meghan's attempt to distort her own career background to match her current victim narrative. She wants us to believe that wearing pantyhose as part of royal protocol is a wholly alien, surprising experience that seemed completely out of character with her basic personality. However, this assertion breaks apart catastrophically when you consider her actual professional background and the requirements of her 7-year broadcast career. Meghan described her reaction to royal dress restrictions as genuine astonishment and culture shock. She highlights how wearing nude pantyhose felt extremely weird and restricting, joking that she hadn't seen pantyhose since 1980s movies.
I had to wear nude nude pantyhose all the time. I hadn't seen pantyhose since movies in the 80s.
She uses this as persuasive evidence of how repressive royal rules compelled her to be inauthentic, asking her to dress in ways that were completely alien to her particular style and individual expression. The fundamental flaw in this entire story is that Meghan spent 7 years as a professional actress on Suits, a high-end legal drama designed specifically to authentically portray sophisticated professional environments. Anyone who's worked in television production, particularly on shows that focus on corporate or legal settings, knows that costume departments have extremely strict requirements for professional attire, and hosiery or pantyhose is absolutely standard protocol for women wearing business attire on camera. The idea that Meghan could spend 7 years filming a show that required professional wardrobe without ever facing pantyhose or hosiery needs is utterly unbelievable to anyone who understands how television production works. Costume supervisors on professional productions have rigorous continuity standards, and they would undoubtedly have specified proper undergarments to ensure constant character appearance across numerous seasons of filming. The entertainment industry has its own complex set of formal dress demands, and anyone working at Meghan's level of visibility would be familiar with a wide range of professional styling needs that extend far beyond simple clothing choices. She's telling a story about how she was a free-spirited, authentic California girl who was suddenly forced into artificial constraints by an archaic institution, but her professional background suggests she was already very familiar with the formal presentation requirements and protocol expectations that come with any high-profile professional position. The entire story unravels when you realize that royal dress codes aren't significantly more restrictive than the styling requirements she would have faced throughout her entertainment career, blog writing, public appearances, and professional networking within the Hollywood industry. The real question today is whether anyone will continue to take her seriously after witnessing her credibility erode in real time. Because once you've seen someone contradict themselves so thoroughly, convincingly, and frequently, impossible to believe anything else they say. Which discrepancies surprised you the most? Please share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know if you found any additional contradictions we missed. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell because we're just getting started. Until next time.